Morning. We're on air actually. All right. Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us on another Google Plus Hangout for Channels Beam. I'm Victor Matthias, and today we're looking at the girl child. I mean, there's been so much buzz yesterday on Twitter about the World Day of the Girl Child, and there was so many conversations going on about that. So today on the program, that will be our focus, and we have Mariam Laushi, who joins us from a particular location in France, Paris, actually. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
Of course, and we also have Olamide Akpejoye, who joins us from Abuja, Nigeria's capital territory. Thanks as well for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So let's have you kickstart this conversation for us. I mean, it was the World Day of the Girl Child. Of what significance do you think that is, first and foremost? Rami.
Okay. I'm I I've never been more excited about this opportunity and the fact that every year it gets better and the fact that the world is more aware about the fact that the girl child needs more opportunity. The girl child is out of school. The girl child has not been fortunate. Life has not been, accommodating to the girl child, especially in Africa. Um, it's very important because even the older generation are now aware of the fact that the girl child has been sidelined. And that day, on that day, I was just excited. I was like, okay, this is it. We have been waiting for this moment. Every time we talk about the girl child, especially in the north, people, you know, neglect it. But I mean, even this year, the impact was it's better than every other year. And I couldn't have been more excited. The impact rises every year. It's like every year there is improvement in the reach, what people, in the awareness, pretty much. And I think that we can do better, but yeah, the impact has been amazing so far.
All right, thank you very much. Mariam, let me come to you also to get your own perspective on that, the significance of celebrating the Day of the Girl.
Well, the day of, the girl child is really important because it's international. It's one of those days that are set aside to kind of draw attention to the issues concerning the girl child. So there are so many disadvantages that the girl child goes through internationally. I mean, look at Malala, who was shot for trying to go to school. He's now a Nobel Prize winner. It's important. The Day of the Girl Child, I think, is really important because it's showing that people are paying attention to the negative things that a girl child has to experience growing up in this world.
All right, so that's one example you made mention of. Excuse me. In terms of now opportunity to go to school. What other challenges do you think the girl child faces apart from that?
Okay, so
Okay, go ahead. I'll come to Lamine after you're done.
Okay, so I was just saying that I think in Nigeria especially, it's gonna be hard to talk about every other place in the world. But I know in Nigeria, there's the early marriage that young girls go through. There's female genital mutilation, which has no health benefits. It has no even religious significance. It causes death among young girls. It's physical abuse, it's domestic abuse, it's lack of safety. So there are many different challenges that the girl child goes through in Nigeria.
All right, well, Lamine, you wanted to respond to that as well. You can go ahead.
Um, well, I was going to talk about molestation, rape. Um, it's very rampant in Nigeria. I know that we will not say it enough, but one in every three girls, and I'm saying this matter of factly, one in every three average girl in Nigeria has been sexually molested, either by a family member or in school. That's one big issue we as a continent have refused to address. We keep talking about early child marriage and all that, but even before the child marriage, the girl child has already been molested by her uncle, by somebody. Also, another challenge that we face, especially because of the insurgency in the northeast, is the fact that they've been out of school. Most of them displaced, and some girls who are still missing, even in that part of Nigeria. And of course, the gender and female gender mutilation is a really big problem in Nigeria, and I think Africa at large. So these problems are issues that we need to address, especially, like I said, the issue of rape. I don't know if there's some sort of sensitization to parents, to teachers, to schools. We need to do more when it comes to that as regards that aspect of the girl child.
All right. So when we're talking about sensitization, now I know we have the Nigerian Orientation Agency. What role should they be playing as an arm of government in trying to sensitize, be it parents or guardians, or even girls coming up? What role should the government be playing through the National Orientation Agency?
Oh, okay. So I remember in primary or secondary school, when you're going to a new class, there's a counseling department that asks you, oh, what do you want to do in life? What do you want to be in the future? The same thing should apply. That's what the NOA should be doing. They should start from the hospitals. When you have your girl child, they should counsel these parents and tell them, okay, so you have a girl, she's already at risk. Being a girl, she's already at risk in society. So this is what you should do on that. They should go to communities. These people should set up counseling for religious leaders. Our religious leaders don't even do enough. So I don't know how, and I think they should use that niche because, especially, religion is our biggest population too in Africa and even in Nigeria. So if the NOA, partners with these religious bodies to sensitize our people, I think that it will go a long way, not just by putting it on social media. A lot of people are not on social media. A lot of this issue is deep rooted. It's bigger than social media. It even has nothing to. I mean, social media is probably just 20% of what it does. They should go to these communities and talk to these people and liaise with them, our religious leaders in these areas, people that don't even have social media reach. They should do more than that. It's not just about saying that you're doing. I expected them, I didn't even hear, I expected them on the day of the girl child to organize seminars in different states in Nigeria, but I didn't hear anything like that. That shows that they're not doing their job. So it's not okay. I think that we should start from there. We should do more, pretty much, in that aspect.
All right, very well. Maria, let me come back to you. You were in you used to work for an organization, Voices for Change, Purple, which focused so much more on the rights of women in terms of the empowerment.
Sorry, I can't really hear you.
It's breaking.
Yeah.
All right, can you hear me now?
A bit, but it's still.
Okay, kind of, right?
It just sounds, when you're speaking, it sounds the way it did earlier. So I can't really hear what you're saying.
Okay. So how do we do this now? Should I type the questions for you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you can do.
Okay, so I was just talking about your work with B4C.
Okay, Purple.
Yeah, exactly, Purple. So yeah, maybe because of looking at, she's highlighted maybe what the government could have been doing in terms of, sensitizing parents and also kids, females, while growing up to avoid some of the challenges that they're facing. So, I think that's one of the main purpose for which Purple was in Nigeria, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so yeah. So can you just put us through some of how the way you guys were actually putting or sensitizing women or empowering women?
Okay, so I'm a purple girl. So part of what I did as a purple girl is to kind of work with young people. It was mainly for young people 16 to 25. So we were talking to not just the girls, but the boys as well, young women and young men, because what happens is that young women may understand the difficulties that they go through, but young men don't know. And unless it's something that's done together, the impact isn't as much. So when you sensitize young men and young women at the same time and show them the importance of working together, it makes more impact. So that was one of the things that Purple did. Purple worked with religious leaders, just like Lami mentioned earlier. They were talking to religious leaders and sensitizing them about the issues that women go through, even in marriage, even in work. And it got a lot of religious leaders to preach about empowering and helping women in church, in the mosque. They reached out to different micro communities where, you know, there were men's networks, traditional rulers in different states, in the east, in the west, in the north. And, you know, we had people who were even champions. We didn't have direct contact with them, but we had people who were champions, you know, of different causes in terms of supporting women. They were all opinion leaders, they were all gatekeepers, and they were able to influence the people who looked up to them about, you know, empowering the young woman. Even the government, we had some interaction with the government pushing for some laws. So for example, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, Purple was highly involved in that. And it's been passed in Abuja, but then it needs to go around to the other states. So the VAP Act has now allowed, it has created laws that protect women, and that's really important. The laws protect girls, they protect women. For example, if you're married to a woman and she doesn't work, you can't throw her out of the house just like that. There are higher penalties now for physical abuse, for rape, and rape, because in the past, the definition of rape was very straightforward. And now we're talking about just penetration. It can be anywhere. If it makes you uncomfortable, it is rape. So the laws have evolved, even though it needs to spread out to other parts of the country. The laws have evolved, and a lot of different things are being done now to kind of spread it out. But there were a lot of things that Purple actually did with young women and young men, gatekeepers, and even the government. So that was really good impact.
All right, very well. Just before we continue, Indy Kato joins us. Indy, if you can hear me. Hello, Indy, can you hear me?
Background, like what background are they going to give?
Hello, Indy, can you hear me?
Huh? Hotel.
Okay, I don't think she can hear me at the moment. I'll come back to her in a minute. So let me come back to you now. In terms of empowerment, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, very well. So let's look at empowerment now. How can you empower? Because apart from sensitization, like you said, like you and Miriam, you know, and all that, let's look at empowerment. How do you go about that?
Girls need to. I mean, we all have our bit to play. Girls need to know that they can do much more. That there's opportunities like lies ahead. They need to be given opportunities. And in my own little way, everywhere that I go, every school that I visit, every public school that I visit, every competition that maybe I happen to be in a panel for competition, I ensure that girls are involved. I ensure that it's not just boys that are raising their hands. I ensure those boys that they are selected. I ensure that these girls are also selected. It's not just like I said. I can't do it all, but I always implore, you know, people like me, people that are doing, you know, are trying their bit to empower children, not just girls. Then you must carry the girl child along. You have to tell the girl that she can do it. Again, permit me to say, especially in the north, these girls are raised to be timid. These girls are raised to they raise them to not bring their head up. So every time that I'm opportune to talk to them, I make sure that they are raising their head up and that they're ahead, and that when I'm speaking, I am speaking directly to them. I am talking to them about, you know, how I grew up, how I was pretty much brought up like an alpha male, you know. And and when I visit IDP camps, I also tell these women, you know, you are not second fiddle. You're on top of the game. This is what you can do because you're a woman. You come there to task. This is the power that you have. I mean, when you go to this IDP camp, the people that are trying to rebuild that community are the women there. So I tell these girls to learn from their mothers. I tell these girls to learn from their aunties and to be alpha females, and that's what I do on my part. And every time I have an opportunity to um, every time I have an opportunity to have like a talk, I make sure that the girls are involved and the girls are really. I don't know if you heard me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but like I said earlier, I said I'm very much around. I'm very much here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all
So
right. I think. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just on my part. That's pretty much what I do. Everywhere that I go and every opportunity and gathering that I'm where, I make sure that the girl child doesn't shy away from activities, doesn't think that a boy can do better than her, you know, doesn't feel like she cannot compete in a competition because the boys are, you know, the boys should be the class monitor. No, when I go to the class, I'm like a proper election should be conducted. You know, you shouldn't select a boy just because he's a boy. You know, there should be every girl has an opportunity as much as the boy does. Probably even better because girls can multitask and girls know how to think faster. From the consensus that I have personally carried out, so that's pretty much what I do.
All right, because I was going to ask you, like, how did you come to the conclusion that girls think faster than boys?
I have done. I mean, when you're saying something, so because she's timid, she'll probably not want to say it, and because a guy would always say things, even the wrong things in confidence. But a girl would pretty much say, I don't know if it's true, but okay, say it. You encourage her to say it, and then when she does, you then realize that she even knew better than the guy that was confidently saying something. I'm not trying to be sexist, but that's the truth.
All right,
So
that's okay. All right, so I think Indy should be able to hear us now. Indy, if you can hear me, good afternoon, and thanks for
Yes, I
joining
can.
us.
Good afternoon. Good
All right,
afternoon,
so
doctor.
yeah, quite a lot of water has gone under the bridge since the hangout started. But then now that you're here, which, like I said, in the invitation, we're looking at the girl child. That's the that's the
Yes.
what being like on. So they've talked about the significance of having a day like this to celebrate the girl child. Talked about challenges the girl child faces. Talked about empowering the girl child. And so let's get to hear what you think about these things that I just mentioned.
What I think about,
Okay, so first of all, the challenges the girl child faces, as well as how we can empower the girl child.
well, where I come from, we are basically raised with no gender roles. Everybody does both male and female roles. But then you find out that as society progresses, a young girl that has been raised to function both as a male and a female in the traditional sense of it is being told her place. Now, this young girl, of course, I'm from Kaduna State. Now, this young girl does not know what her place is. She thinks she can soar, she can do everything she's supposed to do. But after a certain age, they start cutting her down. What we have been trying to do, especially in crisis ridden areas, because at the end of the day, because of the patriarchal nature of Nigeria, crisis also goes in sort goes along with the trend. So most times attacks, the men are the ones that are killed. So we have a lot of homes that are now manned by women. And these women are not prepared for these things. So we have a lot of homes that scatter because the mom has no place in the home. She's just, sort of like a servant. And right now we are left with having to train girls to understand that chances are you are going to be the breadwinner of your home, patriarchy or not. So you have to learn something. You have to have a handwork. You have to go to school. There's so many things we're dealing with. We also have the issue of, very rampant teenage pregnancy where I come from, and we have a lot of it's quite common to the point that you have it's expected, and immediately that happens, okay, no more school, you're married, go stay with your husband. And again we have the repeated cycle during the crisis periods where the husbands die, and then this girl who has been married since she was 13 years old knows nothing other than being under a man. So we've set up things and we're trying, but of course what we are facing right now is a lot of backlash. Are you bringing girls to compete with us? Do you think a woman is equal to the man and all that? But yes, this is the trend. This is the path we are on, hoping that in the next 10 years there will be at least some form of change.
Well, I pray we are around the next 10 years to see that change that you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay. Mariam, let me also come back to you. I'm talking about empowerment. Lami has, taken us one step. Indeed took us another step further. Maybe you should take us one more step. ahead as well. Sorry, come again?
Sorry, what was your question?
Okay, so we're still looking at the issue of empowering the girl child.
Okay.
Yeah, how do we do that?
Okay, so I think if you want to empower the girl child is the way Lami said it. You have to educate people, you have to sensitize people. Because what happens is that girls who have the potential to do something are afraid. They're shy, they're not bold enough, they're not confident enough to go for what they want to do. And then I think it's also really important to bring men into the conversation because a lot of the time the men are half of the population, and unless they collaborate with us, it's just going to be like a battle, just like Ndidi mentioned earlier. Oh, are you trying to make women equal? Whatever, whatever. People should not be looking at it that way. People should understand that the elevation of the girl child means the elevation of the whole society, the elevation of the whole country, and even individual families. So if we get men in the conversation, to get them to understand these issues, and to get women to collaborate with men as well, I think that would go a long way. We can, one of the most important ways to empower a person is by educating them. Give them the knowledge that they need, give them the support that they need, give them the healthcare that they need to be able to go out and do all of these things, execute their ideas, to freely communicate and freely have equal opportunities in terms of going to work. I mean, we really need to curb also, harassment in the workplace for women because those are one of the things that discourage even the young girls from aspiring to to leadership positions or even just a job in an office or even having a business. So it's about the safety of women as well. So I mean, when you talk about empowering women, there are countless things you can do. You can begin to give loans to women. From records, it shows that women are more likely to pay back loans. So the banks actually make more money when they give women loans than when they give men loans. So these are some of the things that we educate them, we empower them, we give them loans, we encourage them to kind of see themselves in a good light and get men to collaborate in everything as well as the government. I think the government has a major role. I know that the government has a lot going on, and sometimes as citizens, we have to kind of contribute in our own way to what we can do to support people and the society. But the government can do better in terms of the laws protecting girls, in terms of the laws around rape, in terms of the laws around domestic abuse, in terms of even access to quality education. So those are some of the things that we can begin to do to empower the girl and the woman.
All right, very well. We're about to rounding this conversation, but Andy, let me come back to you again. So let's look at the society, or how it gives the opportunity it gives the girl child to thrive in, especially for someone say per se in politics. I mean, in governance. The roles that the society gives the woman. How would you say the Nigerian society?
It's as a young politician, it's quite difficult. Of course, I am quite the stubborn person, so I don't believe in doors shut against me. But you still have these issues. When I was in university, I had my professor Irene Isoken Salami. She wrote a book, More Than Dancing, and that book was about women in politics. Basically, most times women in politics are used for entertainment value. So you have political gatherings, and the women are supposed to come around and parade themselves like peacocks, are supposed to come and dance and make the environment cheerful. And then they give way for the men to do the serious stuff. And we still have issues like that. Back where I come from, Southern Kaduna, despite everything one has been able to do, you still have men, or women even telling you that, oh, I'm so proud of you, our daughter and everything. But then they now say, if you were a boy or if you were a man, I would have said we have a leader where we come from. But you are a woman, and there's only so much a woman can do. Like, you still hear those things in 2017. You still hear, I'm afraid for you because you're a woman. They will not, because you're a woman, because you're a woman. And coming from a place where you're not raised to see this, limitations, especially from my own, nuclear family. It's a bit of a problem. You have someone within a political party, a young man, that you say, okay, we can't say it is the gerontocratic sets that are thinking this way. But I had a young man a couple of weeks ago walk up to me and say, look, we can't have a woman as youth leader of this party. It cannot happen. It's not possible. A woman rule over us. So these are things that are very prevalent in politics. Women are told that they can't do it. Women are told that they will not be allowed. They would not be given these positions. They will not be allowed to win something simply because they are women. And you may have as many qualifications as you want to have, and the standards will always be higher. They would expect you to be the purest human, to have the highest qualifications. You have to prove over and over again that you are capable. Every time the woman conversation comes up, that's what you're going to hear. Is she capable? Is she like Okonjo-Iweala? She better be like Okonjo. How many degrees does she have? Women always need to prove that they are excellent beyond what you can imagine to be allowed, to be given a chance that a man can just be given because of his gender. And it's not a funny thing at all. This is what we face in politics. I think daily, yes.
What about in governance, maybe in government?
In government, you'd hear a lot of the times women face backlash, and I would not like to call names so it will not look like I'm supporting, corruption or anything, but women face backlash for being strict with the way they do their work. So a lot of the times when a woman drops from a position, or when you hear a lot of conversations around a woman in position, oh, she's too mean. Can you imagine me, a man, and locked on her door and she did not open the door for me? I did this and she told me no. A woman has to lay on the floor and roll over in a position to be seen as normal. Any other thing beyond that is being seen as a stubborn person. The interpretation of your actions are always extreme. You say no today, you are a nasty woman. You turn down something today, you are difficult to work with. So that's one of the major things women face. And we're always referred to with extremities. Oh, this woman is difficult. Oh, she's too tough. And these are things that her male colleagues can do over and over again, and nobody sees it as anything. Oh, Oga no like I'm like this, so we are going to adjust to Oga. When it comes to a woman, it's very different. Women are not tolerated in that sense. We are referred to in extreme terms when we decide to assert our authorities. Of course, if you're in an office that requires you to assert authorities, only right that you do that. But women get the negative reaction every time.
All right. Thank you very much. Just to wrap this up now, let me come to you to begin the wrapping process. So if you're to look at the needs of the girl child at the moment, what do you think the typical Nigerian girl child needs at the moment?
Can you come again?
All right, so I was talking about the needs of the typical Nigerian girl at the moment. What do you think is the need for the typical Nigerian girl at the moment?
I think that the typical Nigerian girl at the moment needs to be told the truth. A girl shouldn't wait till she's a teenager before they tell her about sex, before they tell her about the society and how it's already set up, how she already is at loss. A girl child needs to be told to stand tall from the age of 4. I mean, when she understands conversations, she needs to be told how to. I don't know. I'm going to speak from the way I was brought up. I was brought up to be a family. I had to alpha female rather. I had to take charge. I wasn't told, oh no, let your brother do that, or let your uncle do that for you. The girl child needs to be given that. Families need to do more. Parents need to do more. I keep saying this. It starts from the nuclear family. The agencies can't do it for us. It's our parents, our fathers, our mothers. I'm opportune to have been brought up like this. Not everybody has this opportunity. Not everybody has this opportunity, even in this day and age. They have internet, but it's not about internet. It's not about social media. What are you telling your kids? What are you telling the girls? What opportunities are you giving to your girl child? What is the role she playing in the family? What are you telling her to do? Are you telling her not to do a particular thing because she's a girl? Are you telling her not to speak to somebody in a particular manner because girls are not supposed to speak that way. These things go a long way because it's psychic. It registers in our mind. If these things are not embedded in our girl child, in the girl child, in the girls, then we're pretty much just doing nothing because it changes nothing. It doesn't change the fact that she already has a mentality. So we need to start. It's a societal thing. It's socialization. It's how they're brought up. It's how we are brought up. I have this mentality now. Somebody down in Oshobo doesn't think the way I'm thinking. They're saying I'm saying bullshit. So, pardon my, pardon my language. They think that what I'm saying now, they think that I'm being too much of a feminist or I'm being too Western for them. These people need to understand, it's deeper than just saying agency should come and say something. As much as our religious leaders need to do a lot of things, as much as our orientation agencies need to do a lot, our parents need to do more. These people we need to raise our girls to be better. That's pretty much just it. Raise our girls to, like Chimamanda Adichie said, we teach girls to be competitors of themselves, not to the society, not to men, but to compete for how to fight for men or for how to get boyfriends. So, we need to teach them in education, in class, when somebody asks a question, you should not shy away from certain things. It's just pretty much all that. It's the upbringing. It has nothing to do. We as a community agree that the girl child needs to be concentrated on, then I think that it will make every other thing easier because then the girl begins to stand for herself. Like somebody says, when you give a girl education, she'll take it from there. When you educate her on certain things, she'll be able to fight for herself. About women rights is just one of the very woke, doing about women rights. But because they were educated about certain rights, they stood up for themselves. So that's what we need to do pretty much. Education. Educate the girl child on her rights, on everything that she's doing right. So that's pretty much.
All right. Thank you, Lami. Indy, let's also get your reaction in terms of what the girl child needs at the moment.
I think that with respect to how we handle young women or girls need to know that their rights are their rights simply because they are human beings. A lot of the times we talk about the rights of girls with respect to how it profits the society. I do understand that argument because of it will help people understand more, but I would want people to also see girls not just as tools but as human beings. Educate the girl child because she's a human being and should be educated, not just because it's going to affect so and so in so and so terms. Oh, she's somebody's mother. I know we've spoken in these terms, but we should start seeing it that, look, this girl should be educated because she is a human being. Because just like any other person, she has the right to life, the right to freedom, the right to education. She should be. She can do whatever she wants to do with that education. She can decide she doesn't want to have a family. She can decide she wants to spend her money on herself. She can decide she doesn't want to do any form of societal or anything. But as long as this girl, look, is regarded as a human being, her primary unit, herself, she doesn't owe anybody anything. Can we educate Ndi because Ndi is human? Ndi deserves to go to school, not because Ndi is going to end up as somebody. And so every time we keep putting girls that sense of duty, she owes this. We sent you to school because she's going to do this. She's going to end up as this. Do you know if we educate you, you are going to carry the society on your head? That doesn't, at this point, I think that we have to strip this conversation naked to the point that, look, we're looking at a girl as a human being with rights, with freedom to do what it is she wants. And we are going to make sure that this girl goes as far as she wants to go, because that is what any human being deserves. And if she decides that, look, with what I have learned, I'm going to contribute to the society, that makes her a very good person. That's fine. If she does not, that's also okay. But she should, because she is a human being, not because a man someday is going to need a helpmate, not because, somebody is going to die someday and she needs to take over. Not at all. As soon as we start stripping these conversations and letting the girl know that these are your rights because you're a human and you're equal just like everyone else, I think that's when we make the most progress. That is when girls begin to see themselves as, this is who I am, this is what I deserve. They understand what they are entitled to, what they deserve. And I think we'll go far from there.
All right, thank you as well, Indy. Let's also get to hear from you, Mariam, before we finally close down this conversation, Mariam?
You want to know what I think the girl child needs, right? That's the
Yes,
question.
yes, please.
Okay, like I said earlier, I think it's education. I think that education is one of the most important pillars for anybody in today's world. So it might not be formal education, but I think that girls and others, but definitely girls, need access to quality education. Girls need access to resources that actually give them their confidence, that makes them understand their value as, humans and members of the society at the end of the day. Um, they need to be in safe spaces. They need to have, places that they can go in case there's an issue. For example, rape is one of those things. Harassment is one of those things that affects people from freely going to school or freely looking for a job. We need to have centers. I know like Lagos is probably the only place in Nigeria that has one of these centers that girls and women can run to in the case they've been raped or they've faced domestic abuse. Is the physical center. There are other places that are available. I mean, we can, you guys can see my Twitter handle, so you can always tweet me if you need any help. You can always tweet me and I will send you the information for your state for where you can get response for domestic abuse or rape. But and it's not in every state, unfortunately. But so these are some of the things that girls need: education and just a safe environment and the confidence to be given to them to make them feel like they are, valuable members of society.
All right, very well. Thank you very much. Mariam Loshi, you joined us from France Indicato from Abuja, Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, as well as Olamide Akejoye, also from Abuja, Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory. But then we have to wrap the conversation on this note. Thank you very much for joining us and sharing your thoughts on, the importance of the World Day of the Girl Child and her needs as well as her challenges and what can be done to uplift her from where she is at the moment. But then thanks once again. It's a Google Plus Hangout for our channels beam. I'm Victor Matthias, and it's bye for now. But before I go, would it be safe to call you ladies feminists? I didn't
I'm
Very
Proudly,
feminist.
hear you.
I'm a proud feminist.
a militant feminist.
No, say that again, please.
I'm a
I'm a
proud
militant feminist.
Okay, let's take it one by one. Okay, Indy, go ahead.
I'm a militant feminist.
Thank you very much. Lami.
I'm a proud feminist. Vote choice.
Okay. Maria, what about you?
Yep, I support all women. I support the rights of all women. I'm a feminist.
Oh, thank you so much. That's a wrap on this edition of Channels Beat. I'm Victor Matthias once again. Bye.